Manushanam sahasreshu kasyad yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyad vetimam tatvatah. Sometimes Prabhupada would speak this science of Srimad Bhagavatam is for those who have left behind their sinful activities and are moving towards the personality of Godhead. So it's an inducement, or it's a sound vibration that draws ones closer to Krishna. There's a lot of people that are drawn to some other things out there. Rajagun, Tamagun, in different varieties. But you're here. And the topic is Srimad Bhagavatam, and the specific topic for this evening is the cultivation of elevated qualities from passages, we know from passages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I don't think I'm going to forget it, but I wanted to make some little comment at the beginning here. And I had forgotten the quality, the nature of Devaki Nandan's kirtan is special. Put you in the spotlight sometime for our festivals. You can be part of the kirtan party because you're one of the gifts that Krishna has given you. So just appreciating that gift. And then there's the gift of hearing of Bhagavad Katha. Shunvatasva Katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyantak Soyabha Bhadrani Vidhunoti Sarit Satam, etc. Yesterday evening, we heard some of those verses, the beginning verses of Canto 1, Chapter 2. And for those of you that weren't with us, those early verses of Canto 1, Chapter 2 is the summation of Sutta Goswami's response to one of the 6 questions, the first of the 6 questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya of Sutta Goswami. What's the essence? Could you describe the essence of the entire vast range of the Vedas? And so he did. And so that's what we discussed yesterday. And these verses are illustrated by the lives of great Vaishnavas, which is our topic for this evening. How convenient. Today's topic follows yesterday's topic. The principles are in Chapter 2, and the examples of those principles are the robust feature of the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I thought a nice example to illustrate Canto 1, Chapter 2 is Narada Muni. He's a good example. And the life of Narada Muni is found in different places. A starting point for the life of Narada Muni comes in 7th Canto, Chapter 15. And there's, at this particular circumstance, it's a discussion between Yudhisthira and Narada Muni. So Yudhisthira asks a nice question. How did you become Narada Muni? So that's our topic. How does one develop, through the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, how does one develop exalted qualities when formerly you're not so exalted? The Bhagavatam teaches us in principle, and then Narada is an example. So am I doing okay with the microphone? Are you pleased with me? He's giving hand signals like something's not right. Okay. So in 5 verses, Narada responds to Yudhisthira. In the previous Mahakalpa, is the language used, previous day of Brahma, Narada was a Gandharva named Upabharana. And Upabharana was not just a Gandharva, but he was a leader amongst the Gandharvas. Not only he was a leader amongst the Gandharvas, but he was of very beautiful features and form and stature, so much so that the ladies were very attracted to him. And he was attracted to the ladies. Too much attracted to the ladies. Too much. On one occasion, there was a big festival in honor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Narada, in his previous life as the Gandharvas were invited, along with many demigods, to participate in a big festival in honor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, something unfortunate happened. The unfortunate thing that happened was that Narada got a little carried away with being at the center of so many attractive ladies and being in the presence of so many demigods, and he forgot the purpose of the festival was to honor the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he started singing, as Gandharvas will do, he started singing songs in honor of the devotees. The devotees liked it, but the Prajapatis didn't like it. In fact, they so much didn't like it that they cursed him. You're an offender. You should lose your beauty and become a Shudra, because that's your behavior. And that ended the 7th canto, chapter 15. Narada said, in my next life I became a Sudra. And in that next life as a Sudra, I had the good fortune of being the son of a maidservant who was serving the Bhaktivedantas, and in the association of Bhaktivedantas, by hearing from 2 things, by hearing from them and serving them, I then, in this present Mahakalpa, I got the opportunity to be born as the son of Lord Brahma. So there's the 3 lives of Narada. Upabharana, son of a maidservant, Narada Muni. And that's in the 7th canto, chapter 15. And so one of the nice things, something that we should know about the Srimad Bhagavatam is it's not chronological. It's super logical, but it's not chronological. It's not in sequence of time. So back in Canto 1, Chapter 5, there's a discussion between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. Now, Vyasadeva became one of Narada Muni's disciples. So Narada Muni, like Yudhisthira, Vyasadeva asked a similar question. What was your situation before you became Narada Muni? So he described the second lifetime. First is this mode of passion situation, the Gandharva, who was very beautiful and attracted to ladies, and ladies attracted to him, and he got too much carried away with his sensual likings that he became cursed to become a Shudra. So he took the birth as a Shudra, but in sequence, the verses that we heard yesterday, Canto 1, Chapter 2, he exemplified those verses. step by step by step. Those verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, one of the lenses to analyze them is, as Rupa Goswami does, the 9 stages of bhakti, beginning with Shraddha, Adau Shraddha, etc. And then step by step by step, progressing by step in the stages of bhakti. So he started from the position of a Shudra and went through the stages of bhakti. So how that happened was, there's no mention at all who his father was. All that's mentioned is he was the son of a maidservant. And that maidservant had the good fortune of accommodating and serving Bhakti Vedantas, learned personalities, Bhakti Vedantas, who during the 4 months of the rainy season, and then later in that same chapter 5 of Canto 1 says, and the autumn season as well, but the 4 months of the rainy season, they stayed in one place. Instead of travel, they stayed in one place. And during that time, young son of the maidservant, we'll call him Narada, but he wasn't Narada yet. He was just son of a maidservant. He had the opportunity to hear. No, some preliminary something was there, Adau Shraddha, because of his previous life. He had some affinity for these great souls. And the great souls, fortunately, were bhaktas or Vaishnavas. And so the topics that they discussed were topics about Vishnu or Krishna. They knew the scriptures, and in their company with one another, that's what the Bhaktivedantas would do. They would discuss topics of Krishna. So he's a little boy, and as a little boy, the son of the maidservant, he had the opportunity, when they were having their discussions, to hear their discussions. Adau Shraddha Tatak Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya. He was serving, but one of the main activities was hearing. That's a type of service too. And because he's a little boy and his mother was assisting, he would bring their meals. And sometimes he would get a chance to wash their clothing or other little services, some cleaning, so this thing and that thing, service to the Vaishnavas. But that service to those two things, service to the Vaishnavas combined with the process of hearing, he became very attracted, which is one of the stages of bhakti. And because of that attraction, his affinity for boyish proclivities of playing and sports, specifically it says sports and other, childish activities, he was not involved in those things. But he was involved in the service and hearing. So because of that service and hearing, his affinity, his attraction was growing and growing and growing. And the sages, in the course of seeing this nice, calm character, this little boy that liked to hear and liked to serve, they decided they would give him some special process of purification, mantra, and austerities and little things that little boys can do. So he had that training, like, little ashram life. And then at the end of the rainy season, they left. So, but the seed was already there, had been transferred from them to him, and the fanning of that spark by the process of hearing and chanting, and so he carried on for the rest of his life like that. Although he was this, by birth, not an elevated birth, but his character was building, and his attraction for Krishna was building. And after some time, because specifically the verses describe that his mother had no other shelter but her son. Doesn't mention the father, just her son. So she was attached to her son, and the son was very attached to his mother. However, another misfortune that actually was a good fortune or a blessing, that is, his one day when going to milk the cow, his mother was bitten by a serpent and died. So there's this poor boy. Generally, there's this traffic control situation right now. Everyone shift forward. Ladies a little bit forward, men a little bit forward, so we don't have to do it more than once, because people come when they can come, and thank you. Okay. So for those of you that just came, the topic is developing refined qualities or elevated qualities, those narrations from Srimad Bhagavatam. And the focus this evening is one example out of many, many, but a fine example is Narada. So in Narada's previous life, or two previous lives, he was in Gandharva, that was cursed by his misconduct, by his offense, to become a Shudra. He became a Shudra, and he served his mother and served the Bhaktivedantas and became spiritually attracted. And when his mother died, being bitten by a serpent, he felt greatly distressed, but he didn't stay in that mood of grief and sorrow. He took it as an indication of providence, or this is the supreme, that he no longer has the object of attachment, although he's just a little young boy. So he, specifically it says, he headed in the northerly direction. Northerly direction, generally that means he headed for the Himalayas. It doesn't say Himalayas, it just said he headed for the north country. And as he was wandering and wandering, he's a young boy. And young boys have a way of becoming hungry. But he didn't have a mother to cook for him. So he just learned how to maintain himself from what the wild forest provides. Roots and leaves, and he became fatigued, but so the description is he took bath in fresh water, rivers and lakes, and maintained himself in that way. And he would regularly engage in his practice, the practice remembering what the Bhaktivedantas had taught him, but also the particular sadhana practice. It doesn't identify what that sadhana practice was, but some type of meditation on the Supreme Person. And one fine day, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared in his heart. When he was sitting in meditation, the Personality of Godhead appeared in his heart. And his whole body be erupted with ecstasy, trembling. The symptoms of bhava were manifest in his body. And then suddenly, poof, that form of the Lord disappeared. And the young boy was startled. So he thought, let me try to get into it again and try to meditate on the personality of Godhead, and he didn't appear again. And then he heard a voice, the unembodied voice, the personality of Godhead speaking to him in a low rumbling sound like the sounds of thunder. That normally I'm not visible to someone who's not mature in their purity, in their practice. But I've come before you, I've shown myself to you, so that to encourage you for the rest of your life, continue in this way. And the voice subsided. So that's what he did for the rest of his life. He went from being a Shudra to hearing and rendering service unto Bhakti Vedantas. He received bhakti from them, and they gave special practice, so he's progressing in the stages from a little Sudra boy to a practitioner of sadhana bhakti. And then the Lord appeared and then instructed him, do this for the rest of your life. So that's what he did for the rest of his life. And at the end of his life, the description is, as lightning and thunder occur simultaneously, so similarly, he left his body and received his spiritual identity. And then in that spiritual identity, he, for the night time of Brahma, he was in this state where awaiting his next day of Brahma birth, and his next day of Brahma, he took his birth as Narada Muni. And this is the description given to Vyasadeva, his disciple, by the Guru, by Narada Muni. And thus, he was awarded this transcendental vina. There are different descriptions in different parts of the scripture, but the Bhagwatam indicates that he received this vina directly from Krishna. And so with his vina, he could travel anywhere he wants. He could travel anywhere he wants. But where did he want to travel? Service to the personality of Godhead. Wherever that travel took him, that's where he wanted to go. So he could go to Vaikuntha. He could go anywhere in the material or spiritual world. He's a transcendentalist on a mission. And the mission is that which he heard from the Bhakti Vedantas to give it to others. And although it was in a previous day of Brahma. Now, Brahma later imparted what he had heard from the personality of Godhead, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikabaye Muyanti Yat Surayaha. The personality of Godhead imparted transcendental knowledge into the heart of Brahma, and Brahma passed that on to Narada. And then Narada in turn was a distributor of this transcendental knowledge. The list of who Narada became the spiritual master of is a long list. Long list. Very, very exalted personalities. Dhruva Maharaj, and etc. It's a long list. So he, went that set of verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, that series of verses that describe the sequence of unfolding of bhakti, or the essence of the knowledge of the Vedas, given by Sutta Goswami. Vishwanath Chakravarti takes that same list, which we have commonly in the form of the 9 processes of bhakti, or the 9 stages of bhakti. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes those same verses and identifies which verse refers to which of the stages of bhakti, and he has a longer list. It's not 9, it's 16. But that's okay. It's not like he's contradicting his predecessor acharyas. He just has this realization, and he's sharing his realization in his commentaries. So back to the topic for this evening, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a treatise on bhakti, because or Bhagavat Dharma, in relation to Bhagavan, is Bhagavat Dharma. And Bhagavat Dharma reveals Bhagavan. The process of bhakti is a mean for us, anyone, to access the original source of everything, the Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth, just through the pages of, and the sound vibration of Srimad Bhagavatam. For that reason, in ISKCON, we place so much emphasis on Srimad Bhagavatam. Not only us, predecessor acharyas as well. How many commentaries and commentators and versions of or explanations of Srimad Bhagavatam our acharyas, exalted acharyas, have given us, in addition to our founder acharya Srila Prabhupada, and the effort that he made to give Srimad Bhagavatam to all of us. A great sacrifice and assiduous work, because it does tell us, regardless of this is Kali Yuga, and so regardless of one's birth or qualities or characteristics, the background doesn't matter. What matters is the process of hearing and service. I'll just, a little bit of sharing with you, because I've been up to here, I'm drowning and preparing for this next journey after coming all the way across the ocean to come to Singapore. Next, I'm going to Sri Lanka with a group of devotees from China, and then from other places all over the place, to hear Sundarakanda of Ramayana. And much like the Bhagavatam, it's the topmost, without a doubt. It's the topmost of all Vedic evidences, Amala Purana and Amala Pramana, the best means of understanding the absolute truth. And Ramayana is like that also. There's a nice verse in Agastya Samhita that explicitly says that Ramayana by Valmiki is Vedic. It's part of the Vedas. I'm pausing on purpose for emphasis. It's part of the Vedas. Now, it's not a recent composition or something. It's as old as time. It's eternal. And the composition of Valmiki, like the composition of Vyasadeva, of Srimad Bhagavatam, the other parts of the Vedas are just compiling what was already available in sound. The Srimad Bhagavatam is his composition under the order of Narada. And under the order of Lord Brahma and Narada, Valmiki composed Ramayana. And guess what? The history is different, but the principles are the same. And just, I wanted to take a little bit of time to illustrate. There are multiple celebrated acharyas in the Sri Vaishnava line that they have a particular affinity for Ramayana, for Lord Ramachandra, and for Ramayana. And they teach the same thing. I'm just sharing. one of their exalted acharyas indicates there are these two things. One is hearing the sound vibration from realized souls, and the other is serving those exalted souls. And these Sri Vaishnava acharyas point to Srimad Bhagavatam to emphasize, of the two, the service to the Vaishnavas is most important, because Krishna says in his discussion with Uddhava, Canto 11, Chapter 7, that this is more pleasing to me than service to me, serving the Vaishnavas, serving the devotees, serving my devotees is more pleasing to me than one who wants to serve me. So they point to the Bhagwatam as confirmation, these two things. If you recall that, because I was emphasizing this purposefully, what Narada Muni did, he heard and he served. And he heard and he served, and his bhakti awakened. The bhakti was transmitted through that medium of hearing and service. So that's what we're supposed to be doing, or that's what we are doing. We receive by hearing, and then we give that which we have heard by sound. And then in other forms and fashions, just like the Sangha of the Gita Reading Society, is we serve the Vaishnavas. We try to serve the Vaishnavas, and sometimes we do less than perfect service to the Vaishnavas. Sometimes we even make mistakes. Of course, most of the people here don't know what mistakes are because we're all flawless, but most of the rest of us, we make mistakes. And what to do when what to do? You have to serve, but we're on guard to try to serve in such a way that the Vaishnava is pleased. By knowing the Vaishnava is pleased, Krishna will be pleased. Ultimately, it's Krishna must be pleased. We want Krishna to smile and serve the Vaishnavas. And it's not meant just for the newer people. For those who have been around for a long time, it's for those who have been around for a long time to set the standard of the mood of humble service. Just serve the Vaishnavas and serve the mood and the mission of our founder Acharya and the predecessor Acharyas, and that makes up our life. I'm pausing because when I reached Singapore, I'm just going to share a little something. When I reached Singapore, there's a god brother who sent me a little text message. He didn't know I was in Singapore. He's in the US. And he, how's it going? That was the text message. So I just arrived in Singapore and da-da-da-da-da, and then after that, da-da-da-da-da. And my health is fine, otherwise I couldn't be doing all this, and how about you? No, little delay, because, and so the conclusion of that little exchange was, our life is a life of service. And this is a devotee that he just likes service. I mean, he has some boundaries, we all have, we should have. But within reason, some service opportunity comes, it's yes, in a humble mood to please Krishna. And that's the elevatedness of Narada. No, who he gives Krishna consciousness to can be not even, in the human species. He serves. He's received and he's giving to others in a mood of the mood and the mission of Krishna Bhakti. So how do you get that? You associate with those that have it, and hear Srimad Bhagavatam and live your life according to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Not just become scholarly, but become in the mood of the devotee of Krishna who wants Krishna to be pleased. And you serve the Vaishnavas and Krishna is pleased. It's a full house tonight. We have some people doing traffic control in the back, so just that's what the pause was. A lot of devotees. It's Saturday night. Thank you for coming to the Gita Reading Society and hearing one of three-part message of Srimad Bhagavatam and the importance of acquiring elevated qualities as the Bhagavatam is meant to give us, as our founder Acharya and predecessor Acharyas wanted to give us the opportunity to become civilized and elevated and pure in devotion to the personality of Godhead. I'd like to hire a plane and bring you all to Sri Lanka to hear the glory, because Hanuman's got it too. He's not just like Dasya Bhakta. He met challenges. And then after the challenges, he met some more challenges, and after he met some more. Anyway, but he's such an elevated person. So in hearing about elevated persons and the association of elevated persons, something happens. You feel it's the bhakti rasa awakens. Yes. Mission impossible. Yes. Because the mission of the personality of Godhead is the propellant. It's the fuel. It carries us forward. And the whole society, the whole re-spiritualization of the entire human civilization. That's the vision of our founder Acharya. Re-spiritualization of the entire population of the world that's heading in the wrong direction, south. I mean, towards darkness, Kali Yuga. So the Bhagavatam provides that light. So let's see if there's some comments or questions. Am I pleasing you by speaking into the microphone? He's our sound controller. We have an extra microphone. Yes, I'm just pointing to it. Any comments or questions? Someone's going to run around and give you a microphone if you just put your hand up in the air. I've learned to be very patient. So somebody raised their hand.
Maharaj, sorry, a bit far away. What can I do to increase my affinity to hear?
What can you do to increase your tendency for hearing, liking for hearing?
Yes.
That's a nice question. What is the tendency to serve? The tendency to hear come from? How it begins will tell you how it can grow. Sadhu Sangha. Because when you're with sadhus, you do with sadhus what sadhus do. So what do sadhus do? Bhajana Kriya. So not just hang out with, but be eager to be in the association of those that like the topics of Krishna. And that quality of their liking the topics of Krishna will become your quality. Sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodha vijayate. By association with those that have such propensity. And that's why we have centers. Instead of what other people like to hear. Is that all right? You have something else.
What does topics about Krishna entail?
What topics of Krishna?
What does topics of Krishna entail? Entail. What is made up? When we say here topics about Krishna,
When we hear, then what happens?
so no.
Yes?
What does it
No.
mean to say here?
What does it mean?
Yes, about topics of Krishna means what?
Bhagwatam. Bhagavan and Bhagavat. Bhagavan, Bhagavat is in relation to Bhagavan. So hearing Bhagavatam from the person and book, that's what it means. There's topics. Read Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of others. That's what it means. And when you do like that, magic, attraction for the topics of Krishna. Yes or no? Okay, shoo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. As you mentioned that to please Krishna, serve the Vaishnavas. If Vaishnavas are pleased, Krishna will be pleased.
Yeah.
So if we take this point as a primary service in our life,
Uh-huh.
that to just serve the Vaishnavas, is that enough
Is that enough?
to please Krishna?
What do you think?
Because you said that Krishna will be most pleased, right, if you serve the Krishna.
Okay. Then and my response is, it depends on what you or any one of us defines as pleasing the Vaishnava. You know, that there's different definitions of what pleasing the Vaishnava. It's not patting him on the head, or it's not just, you know, not physical or emotional. But what does it mean? So if in fact the Vaishnava has been pleased, that's enough. But to please the Vaishnava, it's not just pat them on the head. You know, what does please the Vaishnava mean? And if you hit that target, then the answer is yes.
Okay. So, I mean, what are the ways that we can please Vaishnavas?
Huh?
I mean, what sense we can please Vaishnavas so that it will serve the purpose?
Oh, that's a trick question. Let's just go to the definition of a Vaishnava. And what will please the Vaishnava is when the Vaishnava knows that you have pleased Krishna, they'll be pleased. Let's just take, you know, prasadam. A Vaishnava is pleased when they see you taking prasadam. But supposing while you're taking prasadam, you're offending the person next to you. You're vilifying the one that's not with you. So, you know, that's while you're taking prasadam. So that's not pleasing to the Vaishnava. So, there's a package. It's like the 360 of pleasing the Vaishnava. But when a Vaishnava sees that your mood is the right mood, and you're observing the etiquettes that a Vaishnava will observe. You live your life according to the etiquette of a Vaishnava. And then keep going. Not just the etiquette, but you have a strong affinity for the topics of Krishna. That's pleasing the Vaishnava. Because that will purify everything else that is not yet pure within you or me or any one of us. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
One of the other ways that you can say pleasing the Vaishnava is following the instructions of your spiritual master.
You've been reading Prabhupada's books. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much. Maharaj, today's topic is cultivating divine qualities, and then you mentioned the characters lesson based on Narada Muni. So the question I'm going to ask might not be a very intelligent question, but my concern is, Maharaj, when we hear...
Wait a minute. I'm a senior citizen, and my hearing isn't what it used to be. So when you speak slowly, because otherwise you're going to have to ask somebody else. What did she say?
Okay, Maharaj. Sure.
Be kind upon me.
Sure, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, when we hear about Narada Muni,
Yeah.
or Gajendra, or Bhishma Maharaj, Bhishma Pitama,
Bhishma Dev.
we see they had more than one life to reach to the final character which we hear in Bhagwatam. My query is, Maharaj, might not be very intelligent query, but to understand that, was it always in Krishna's plan to help them to cultivate, reach to that level, or it is the gradual cultivation of qualities from devotees endeavor to reach to that point when they are being
Are you
persevered?
asking, does it take multiple lifetimes? Is that what you're asking?
Part one, yes.
Part of it.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't take multiple lifetimes. That's not a fact. It may be a case in this and that one and the other one, but it's not a fact that it takes multiple lifetimes. Katvanga Maharaj.
Yes.
And etc. So, the force of your question is not the multiple lifetime part, but is there, your question is what? Is there some special component that the practitioner of bhakti must have in order to come to that elevated level? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Yes. Maharaj.
Yes? I'm inclined to take the route of the beginning of Vedanta Sutra, Atanga Brahma Jigyasa, inquisitiveness that doesn't end. Not there's some point in my inquisitiveness the bell rings, and I just float or become complacent. But the intensity of inquisitiveness keeps going and going and going. So inquisitiveness that has no end. And then inquisitiveness, another way of saying inquisitiveness is wanting to reawaken my forgotten relationship with Krishna, as Prabhupada would say. I've come to remind you of what you have forgotten. What's that? Our relationship with Krishna. That means who we are and our relationship with Krishna. I'm having fun with a sound controller, moving closer to the microphone so he turns the volume up. And okay. Inquisitiveness, an eagerness, utsahan, nishchaya daryat. So, but it starts with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm for what? For being situated in reality with a capital R, or relationship with Krishna, or knowing fully who I am and my relationship with the Supreme. Inquisitiveness, and it doesn't end. Enthusiasm or inquisitiveness that doesn't have a beginning or an end. No material beginning or material impetus because when there's a material impetus, then if it's achieved, then you check out. And if it's not achieved, then you get frustrated and quit. So no material motive in the inquisitiveness department.
Just the second part of it, Maharaj, like even when these devotees get the direct association with the Lord, their life after that goes to different
They're in
destinations.
Krishna's hands. When they get to that stage, Krishna, you can do with me what you like, and he does.
Okay. Because Narada Muni character looks very different compared to Bhishma Pitama, compared to Gajendra, compared to Ajamil. They reach to a point and then we do not hear anything more about them. But Narada Muni is still transgressed through different personalities and is part of so many stories.
He's in Krishna's hand.
Okay.
I was just before coming, across the globe to over here, I was speaking on Gajendra Moksha.
Yes.
8th canto. So he was a pure devotee. And one Agastya Rishi happened to be in the forest where King Indradumna was engaged in pure bhakti, in absorption in meditation, in samadhi, with a vow of silence. And he didn't receive Agastya Muni, so he cursed him. You're a dull like an elephant. You don't even know how to receive a Brahmana. What kind of king are you? I curse you. You become an elephant. Boop. But the result was at the end of being an elephant, he was manifested a spiritual form, and Vaikuntha Vimana descended and took him to the spiritual realm. Little detour of distress. 1,000 years of battling a crocodile, chomping out his leg. Oh, how's that a nice way to treat a Vaishnava? He didn't do any offense. He didn't do any offense. So it's different. When that stage comes, you're in the hands of the Supreme Lord, and he can do with me whatever he likes, and he does. And Father knows best. He knows what's best for each devotee. So don't compare apples and oranges and pineapples and grapes. They're all fruits. And Krishna created them. And he's doing with them what he likes. What he likes is not whimsical. It's a loving reciprocation of one kind or another. So when that stage comes, that's what happens.
Sure. Thank you.
We have the same person with the same question. You got a relentless questioner here.
Maharaj, what is the consequence of hearing topics of Krishna And how do we know that I am experiencing those consequences?
How do I know what?
I am experiencing those consequences of hearing topics about
Well, there's
Krishna.
two things. Turn the microphone over, please. Thank you. There's in the Bhagwatam, there's a happiness that comes from that connection. And the second is detachment from the affinity for the temporary. Those are two characteristics that you can, this is like Prabhupada's example, like eating. Supposing you're an austere devotee, you probably had fasting. Prandavanir Jalakadasi, do you fast? Of course you fast. And then at the end of that fasting period, it's nice, but the body's a little weak. It's natural. So then after that, you break the fast and strength, exactly what Scripture says happens. Strength comes back to the body. You're feeling satisfied. And if somebody says, would you like some more? You can tell them, no, thanks. I'm full. I'm feeling satisfied. So the affinity for accumulation of stuff, such affinity is gone. And there's a happiness, the spiritual happiness that is natural, as if you can judge it yourself. The one who has that spiritual happiness, they're external things that they may say or do that you can tell this person is different. They're actually experiencing a spiritual happiness because there's an inner contentment that despite this and that of the duality world, they're not influenced. They can see what it is, but they're not influenced. Okay, you got the thumbs up. Okay, I think we're going to end. Is that okay? Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. Sure.
Hare Krishna. We want to thank Maharaj for being here today. And as you all know, Maharaj just stepped into Singapore the day before.